He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got everybody here in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands.
There are two wolves.
Okay.
You've told me this story my entire life, and now I'm telling you. There are two wolves, and they're always fighting. One is darkness and despair. The other is light and hope. Which wolf wins?
Come on, guys.
Okay, fine. Don't answer.
Share everyone you feed.
Good.
We have some major news right now. Congressman Thomas Massie is saying that a future attorney general could prosecute and convict Attorney General Pam Bondi based on the complete non-disclosure of documents tonight. The Trump administration is saying right now, Donald Trump, Pam Bondi, they're all saying this is the most transparent administration in American history. But there is a grand jury document, just for example, 119 pages, mandated, released by the court, completely redacted. They completely redacted. They over-redacted. And they did it, why? To conceal the truth. The Epstein Files Transparency Act is not a subpoena that expires at the end of every Congress. It's the law, and the law doesn't expire. And theoretically, future attorney generals could investigate and potentially prosecute the current one and any other Department of Justice employee complicit in the concealment of the Epstein files.
Please take a moment to listen to this story because it's one of the most alarming immigration cases we've seen in years. An immigration attorney says her client, who's a U.S.-born citizen, is being held by ICE in defiance of a court order and being denied access to a lawyer.
My name is Victoria Slatton. I'm an immigration attorney. I currently have a client who is a U.S. citizen who is in ICE custody. She was taken yesterday under very suspicious circumstances, in my opinion. And we have been desperately trying to get her out.
She goes on to say her legal team filed habeas corpus, the legal protection that's meant to stop the government from disappearing people. A court granted it. The judge issued an injunction stating that she cannot be deported and cannot be moved outside of the jurisdiction because she is a U.S. citizen born in America. But ICE ignored the court order. Even after being given her valid U.S. birth certificate, ICE moved her anyway, transferring her to Louisiana, a location widely known as the final stop before deportation. She was born in the United States, and DHS is now ignoring a federal court order, holding a U.S. citizen and denying her access to a lawyer. And her
So long that a fellow's name is going on the John F. Kennedy Center for Performing Arts. This man is a victor and a thug, and there should be hundreds of people out there. Where are the people? Where are they? Where's Congress? Are you as upset as I am? This is a desperation building. I was born in Washington, D.C. I will not live here. That man's name. This building.
Why are you guys so anti-dictators? Imagine if America was a dictatorship. You could let 1% of the people have all the nation's wealth. You could help your rich friends get richer by cutting their taxes and bailing them out when they gamble and lose. You could ignore the needs of the poor for healthcare and education. Your media would appear free but would secretly be controlled by one person and his family. You could wiretap phones. You could torture foreign prisoners. You could have rigged elections. You could lie about why you go to war. You could fill your prisons with one particular racial group and no one would complain. You could use the media to scare the people into supporting policies that are against their interests. I know this is hard for you Americans to imagine, but please try.
the end of the day, do you believe that someone who's committed a crime needs to face justice first?
Yeah, like Donald Trump. He was convicted of 34 felonies and he wasn't held to justice and put in prison because you guys voted for him.
We have some news right now. Ro Khanna is threatening Department of Justice officials who obstruct the release of the Epstein files today with jail time. He's making the consequences clear. Members of Congress, Ro Khanna, Thomas Massie, they've all said this. What happens if the Epstein Files Transparency Act isn't met? Well, the simple truth is, those who obstruct the release of these files can face obstruction of justice criminal charges, because it's not just the federal law that requires it, but also multiple federal judges have required the release of these files.
The Epstein cover-up is real, and the Trump DOJ just got caught red-handed. As you can see here, last night they released file number 468. But this morning, that file is no longer available. So what was in that file? Zoom in. Donald Trump. They missed one, so they went back and covered it up.
Why do you think he is working so hard not to get them released for so many months? What do you think the real reason is?
These files implicate billionaires and friends of his and political donors that he's trying to protect. And Epstein also had close ties to our own intelligence agencies and Israel's intelligence agencies. That's why there's so much effort in trying to stop this. And I do believe they'll try to stop it somewhere else. And that's going to backfire on them too. This one's not readable. It's completely redacted. For the most part, the first 50 pages. This one's not readable.
The Trump administration wants to shut down the crown jewel of climate science globally. It is called the National Center for Atmospheric Research and set in a beautiful headquarters in Boulder, Colorado.
One of the things the U.S. figured out was if you have a rich public, that rich public spends its money. That fuels the economy, and the rich get richer, and the poor get richer, and the middle class gets richer. And Nixon and Reagan and most of the politicians over the last 44 years, their goal has been to upend that system and send us the other direction. So in 1973, the top 1% made 8% of the wealth generated that year. Today, the top 1% makes more than 40% of the wealth. Wow. The next 15% make another 40%. So the top 16% in the U.S. makes 80% of the wealth. In other words, this idea of the American dream is gone. There's no middle class. The middle class has been eviscerated. The bottom 84% share 20% of the wealth.
Anthony.
Yeah.
Were the Epstein files released today?
Oh, absolutely not. The DOJ released some documents, but they're a small fraction of the total documents that were supposed to be released today, and they're redacted to the point of uselessness. The DOJ is claiming that they need more time to go over the files due to the privacy of the victims and ongoing investigations, but we all know that's a cover-up for them to further delay and obfuscate.
What did they release?
Well, there are about 8,000 documents total that were released. Just to be clear, I've started looking through them, but I haven't had time yet to review the majority of them. By law, any redactions from the DOJ were supposed to be accompanied by an explanation submitted to Congress, but very few of them had any at all. What wasn't fully redacted was largely court documents and photo evidence gathered from the Epstein estate, most of which was innocuous or doesn't tell us anything that we don't already know.
Behind me, you're watching the U.S. government seize a second oil tanker out of Venezuela. But it gets so much worse and so much more dangerous. The tanker is owned by China, and Iran has just offered support to help confront what it calls U.S. piracy. Anything to distract from the Epstein files.
Chalk this up as things I didn't know as a Republican, probably by design. Even though we are the richest country in the world, we're the only country among all the developed nations that does not provide healthcare for all of our citizens. We're the only country in the developed world where people have to start GoFundMe accounts if their child gets cancer and they don't have the money to pay for it. We're the only country in the developed world where the number one cause of personal bankruptcy is medical debt. And why is this? Because Republicans have spent the last 50 some odd years, my entire lifetime, successfully campaigning to the working poor that health care and other social benefits for everyday Americans is socialism, is dangerous. And they've done this by labeling hardworking people who could use a little help as welfare queens, etc. And they've done this while somehow also hiding the fact that way more money is going from the government as welfare to the billionaire class, which some people are cleverly and accurately calling the Epstein class, to the billionaire class and large corporations. And I find it especially insidious in faith communities like my own that has a heavy emphasis on self-reliance, which is brilliant, absolutely warranted. We should all try to be self-reliant. But whether it's due to illness or an accident or job loss or whatever, like, people need help. Not everybody has a rich family. Not everybody has inherited wealth. Not everybody can get enough help from their church community. This is why other developed nations have social programs to help the least among us in their culture, in their society.
So there's this country you might have heard of over there, and their president the other day was babbling on about immigration. And this is one thing that he said. Have a listen.
Why can't we have some people from Norway, Sweden, just a few? Let us have a few. From Denmark. Do you mind sending us a few people?
Wow. Why is that? What could possibly be the reason or the reasons for this? Why are the people of the Nordic countries all not stampeding down to an airport and flying off to Yankee Doodle Dandy Land? So yeah, maybe it is something as simple as the fact that we are happy. We are happy where we are. We consistently top the world's happiness index every single year. And maybe it's because we live in societies with strong civil liberties and political rights. That is pretty cool as well. We have low levels of income inequality in all of the Nordic countries. You know, corruption isn't really something that we have to deal with on a daily basis in our lives. We live in peaceful countries. We are safe. And who doesn't want to be safe on a daily basis, leading the lives that they lead? We enjoy high levels of press freedom. That is a really cool indicator that a country or a society is doing well. Things are pretty good in our daily lives as well. It's easy for us to get ahead in life. You know, social mobility, climbing the social ladder. We have a good work-life balance, which gives us more time with our family and our friends and, of course, ourselves. Like most places in the world, of course, we have 5 weeks of annual leave. And we get extra money to spend on our holidays. Post-secondary education is, of course, free. And actually, we get paid to educate ourselves. Our countries invest in us when we take an education. Family is important to us. We get lots of time off for parental leave. I mean, duh. You know, and it's parental leave, so it's split between the parents. Universal medical care is, of course, a no-brainer. I mean, most countries in the world have this. Who wants to live in a country where just breaking a leg can actually bankrupt you? And yeah, generally, maybe it's just because we have this cool little thing that we call democracy, and we're pretty damn good at it. I mean, there's probably lots of other reasons as well, you know, low levels of crime and murder. Our kids don't have to wear bulletproof backpacks when they go to school. We don't ban books like it's the Middle Ages, like the number of banned books in the Nordic countries is exactly 0. We're not forced into car dependency in our transport. We haven't fixed gender equality yet, but yeah, we lead the rest of the world on that front as well. So yeah, wow, what a surprise. We're doing just fine where we are, you know? Oh my God, it's almost 4 o'clock in the afternoon. What am I doing still working here? Everybody else has gone home, man. I gotta go, gotta live my life. Have a good one.
You're not gonna believe this shit. Here's your latest unhinged headlines. First up, the Epstein files finally dropped on Friday. Sorta. Got a lot of stuff that looks like this. They say if you cross your eyes long enough, you can see the results of Dumpy's cognitive test. And oh look, an x-ray of his heart. And it looks like a photo of Dumpy and some witness testimony with his name all over it slipped through the cracks, which the DOJ swiftly deleted and then re-uploaded after backlash, because nothing says hoax like proof. Next, returning to announce a very special event, AI Taco Tits.
In the fall, we will host the first ever Patriot Games, an unprecedented 4-day athletic event featuring the greatest high school athletes, one young man and one young woman from each state and territory.
Volunteers tribute. Battle to the death? See how long they can stand behind Dumpy before passing out. Exciting. May the odds be ever in your flavor. Ugh. Next, Dumpy has added new plaques underneath all the past presidents' portraits on the Presidential Walk of Fame. Under Clinton's photo, he brags about beating Hillary. Obama is blamed for the Russia hoax. And under Biden's portrait of an auto pen, the plaque starts with Sleepy Joe Biden was by far the worst president in American history, and ends with Trump saving America. What a confident guy. I bet the plaque above the presidential urinal just reads, wow. And finally, Turning Point USA has created a fun new pop-up experience for fans.
This is a recreation of the tent where Charlie Kirk lost his life at Utah University in September, and people are taking selfies with it.
And for an extra $10, a guy in an FBI hat will shoot BBs at your Adam's apple. I think there's a word for this. Erica?
Despite the devastating loss of Charlie Kirk, my incredible husband at UVU, Caleb has persisted with the same grift.
That's the one. Follow for more unhinged headlines.
I was just able to recover some of the redactions to Trump's Epstein files, and you won't believe what I just found. The Trump DOJ screwed up some of the redactions so bad that you can recover them. And I did so simply by copying and pasting the text. When I did, this is what was there. This is 100% proof that Trump tried to cover up the existence of other participants in Epstein's crimes. It says right here that they paid large sums of money to participant witnesses in order to keep them quiet, as well as their attorney's fees. This means that Trump tried to hide the fact that there's other participants and other attorneys who know about it, as well as those who helped Epstein release damaging stories and destroy evidence. This is the biggest cover-up in American history.
To be honest with you guys, I actually went through the files this weekend in depth. Donald Trump is not only named over and over in them, it is discussed this trial in which he was accused of raping a 13-year-old at Epstein's house. There is extensive discussions about a subpoena of Donald Trump in one of Jeffrey Epstein's cases in which he was accused for rape and sexual abuse. He was subpoenaed and gave a deposition in that case. There is extensive discussion between Donald Trump, Ghislaine Maxwell, and Mr. Wolf about not only Trump coming to his house, but Epstein says in these emails that he has photographs of Trump with girls.
But he he felt very strongly we need Greenland for national security, not for minerals. We have so many sites for minerals and oil and everything. We have more oil than any other country in the world. We need Greenland for national security. And if you take a look at Greenland, you look up and down the coast, you have Russian and Chinese ships all over the place. We need it for national security. We have to have it. And he wanted to lead the charge, so we're making him, Marco, today, a special envoy to Greenland. Greenland's a big deal. Yeah.
So
we literally just figured out how to unredact some of the Epstein files that Trump's administration redacted. So the Trump administration is so incompetent that they use the improper formatting for redactions. Meaning that on some of the files, all you got to do is copy the text, including the redactions, and then paste it in a notepad. When pasted, the actual redacted text shows. Watch, I'm doing it again right here. So this turns to this. This is what happens when you hire a criminal as president.
I have a message for all of the young white men who may have identified with the theme of the Turning Point Youth Conference, theme that can really be summarized in one statement.
In the United States of America, you don't have to apologize for being white anymore.
See, I'm 2 years older and about a century wiser than J.D. Vance, and like J.D. Vance, I'm a straight white married dad who grew up poor in red states. But unlike J.D., I got to where I'm at thanks to hard work, luck, and a little bit of privilege. Meanwhile, J.D. Vance exists to be used as a puppet by billionaires to distract and poison an entire generation with a victim mindset. A mindset Vance now wears even more effortlessly than his cosplay beard and eyeliner. So please listen to me when I tell you this. I need you to be so much braver than this. I can rattle off the statistics about how 80% of Americans work for white CEOs, or how for every dollar of wealth owned by a white family, black families have 23 cents and Hispanic families have 19 cents. But if you're young or poor or both, you might say that those things don't specifically apply to you and you're still struggling. So I am just going to talk to you. Those billionaires don't give a shit about you. And that is why the entire Turning Point USA conference didn't focus on the working class policies that would help you get ahead, but instead focused on making you feel like a victim due to your identity. They need you to think everyone is a threat, so you don't come to the realization that these gaudy spectacles with pyrotechnics and music, where they simultaneously praise you while carefully guiding you to fuse your identity, your religion, your emotions, and your politics, so that if any one of those things is criticized, you reflexively and irrationally defend all of it, leading you to become incapable of separating reality from myth. These tactics are all purposeful forms of manipulation to trick you into believing that they are celebrating you when in fact they are intentionally poisoning you.
We're going to get great ratings in your show.
Trump is surrounded by women as music blares in the background. After a while, Trump goes to greet 3 new guests. Among them, the financier Jeffrey Epstein.
Come on in. Go inside.
More than a decade before his guilty plea on state prostitution charges. Later in the footage, Trump is seen talking to Epstein and another man as women are dancing in front of them. Trump alternates between dancing and pointing out women to Epstein and the other man and telling Epstein about the cameras. Though exactly what they say.
We have some major news right now. Overnight, while you were asleep, the Justice Department dropped 30,000 new Epstein files. I've gone through many of them. There are some big ones, including ones that name Donald Trump in ways we had not known before, and more. Before I get into them, this is a trigger warning that some of these images could very well trigger someone who is a survivor, especially of Epstein's crimes, or of a survivor of SA Anywhere. The first document I want to show you is internal communications with what appears to be an AUSA in the Southern District of New York. The AUSA writes, "For your situational awareness, wanted to let you know that the flight records we received yesterday reflect that Donald Trump traveled on Epstein's private jet many more times than previously has been reported, or that we were aware, including during the period we would expect to charge in a Maxwell case. In particular, he is listed as a passenger on at least 8 flights between 1993 and 1996. He goes on to say on 2 other flights, 2 of the passengers respectively were women who would possibly be witnesses in a Maxwell case. As a reminder, just because he flew on a plane doesn't implicate him in any criminal activity. The second document, this is a envelope, a letter that Jeffrey Epstein tried to send to Larry Nassar days before Jeffrey Epstein died. In the letter, it reads, "Dear LN, as you know by now, I have taken the, quote, short road home. Good luck. We shared one thing, our love and caring for young ladies and the hope that they're ready their full potential." He goes on to say, quote, "Our president also shares our love and yours." This was sent in 2019. It's unclear what president he's referring to, but at the time, Donald Trump was president of the United States. Here's another one. This one discusses 10 co-conspirators. So the Justice Department had up to 10 other co-conspirators. They are now showing publicly that could have potentially been charged in this case. Previously, the FBI said that there were no other essentially leads or no other evidence leading to co-conspirators, but we have evidence now that in July of 2019, while they were considering who to charge, they were considering at least 10 co-conspirators to Jeffrey Epstein. They ultimately only charged Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. They were 30.
The FBI and the Department of Justice are now panicking because they published 30,000 new Epstein file documents, but misredacting Donald Trump's name. One of the files is a postcard from Jeffrey Epstein to a man named Larry Nassar. Larry Nassar was an Olympic doctor who was sentenced to 175 years in jail after 160 girls who had been on the Olympic team testified against him raping and sexually assaulting them. Jeffrey Epstein sent Larry Nassar a postcard on August 13, 2019, when Donald Trump was our current president, that reads, "Dear LN, we shared one thing, our love and caring for young ladies at the hope they'd reach their full potential. Our president shares our love for young nubile girls. When a young beauty walked by, he loved to grab, snatch, whereas we ended up snatching grub in the mess halls of the system, meaning he's mad he's in jail for liking young girls." Mind you, the part that sticks out about this is Jeffrey Epstein saying that our president likes to grab, snatch, because Donald Trump himself told us where he likes to grab young women.
Grab him by the pussy. I could do anything.
Now, if you look at the bottom right here, you can see that this document has a code. The number in this document was EFTA 0003608. But overnight, this went mega viral, so the Department of Justice removed this file from the website and resequenced it to another number. And if you notice, they separated the front of the postcard from the text. They did that to confuse people, because if you read the card without the context of the year, there's no way to verify which president he was referring to. But when they are together on the same page, there's only one president we had in 2019. But the next document is the bombshell, which specifically names Donald Trump as a rapist. Victim asked limousine driver about his time driving a limousine for 2 years in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. During the time, the driver said that he met Donald Trump. The driver reported some of the things President Trump had spoken about during the ride while on his cell phone were very concerning. Trump continuously stated the name Jeffrey while on the phone and made references to abusing some girl. As the driver talked about his time meeting Donald Trump, the girl immediately changed her demeanor and became stone cold and stated, "He raped me." Donald J. Trump had raped her along with Jeffrey Epstein. The victim noted some girl with a funny name, could it have been Ghislaine Maxwell, took me into a fancy hotel or building, and that's how it happened. The driver advised the victim to call the police regarding the incident, as the girl said, "I can't, they will kill me." And here's the worst part. On Christmas Day, the girl contacted the driver and finally told him that she talked to the police. The driver then told her that she had done good, but then didn't hear from her until January 10th of 2000, when the police found the victim with her head blown off in Oklahoma, and the officers ruled it a suicide. And we know the Department of Justice is panicking because they just put out a statement saying some of these documents contain untrue and sensationalist claims made against President Trump that were submitted to the FBI right before the 2020 election. To be clear, the claims are unfounded and false. If they had a shred of credibility, they certainly would have been weaponized against President Trump already. And we know this is a crock of bullshit because out of all the people that are named and listed in that Epstein file, there's only one person the Department of Justice seems to want to protect, and that's Donald Trump.
Chances are you've heard at this point how the FBI redacted Trump's name from the Epstein files, but I feel like a headline like this really doesn't capture the essence of what that really means. This tweet does a better job. Bloomberg reports Trump had the FBI redact his name from 100,000 documents in the Epstein files. Hundreds of FBI agents went through a ton of digital data and redacted Trump's name. Why do this if you're innocent? Why would you need your name redacted if you're innocent? And to give you even further perspective, it was a Herculean task that involved as many as 1,000 FBI agents and other personnel pulling all-nighters while pouring through the more than 100,000 documents. Only here's the thing. It's not just Donald Trump. It's not just him. It's also the Johns. Remember that Pam Bondi and Mike Johnson have both on multiple occasions said this is about protecting the innocent, not protecting the victims, not protecting the children, protecting the innocent, which leads me to believe that that very specific choice of language means they're protecting people who are Johns seen in photographs and et cetera in that evidence that they don't want to get in trouble. And Trump all but confirmed this in a recent press conference.
And I think he probably wants to make sure that, people that should not be involved or aren't involved are not hurt by something that would be very, very unfortunate, very unfair to a lot of people.
Don't want people to get in trouble. Don't want the people who were there and participated to get in trouble, which also includes me. You know how many times my name has to be removed from a list of pedophile clients? Zero times. I'm not going to come up in any version of someone like that. Meanwhile, he had to have 1,000+ personnel spend all-nighters.
The DOJ released their 8th tranche of documents last night, and I spent most of the night going through it, so you guys don't have to. Major revelations. Trump is completely implicated, doing horrible acts, and it's so bad that his Department of Justice had to release this. So they issued this statement saying they released 30,000 more pages in the Epstein files. Some documents, they say, contain untrue, sensationalist claims made against President Trump that were submitted to the FBI right before the 2020 election. To be clear, the claims are unfounded and false, and if they
There have been some crazy things that we have found in the Epstein files, but this right here might be the darkest. This is from a limo driver who had met Trump in the 1990s, and he alleges that Donald Trump raped a young girl along with Jeffrey Epstein. The victim was then encouraged to go to the police, to which she replied, quote, "I can't because they will kill me." The victim did eventually report it to the police, but she was found a while later with her, quote, head blown off, and the police officers on scene stated that there was no way it was a suicide, even though the coroner ruled it as such. Like, what the actual hell is going on here, and why are we not doing anything about it? Okay, we gotta let these guys know that this does not end until people, these gross, disgusting people, all go to jail.
We have big news right now. The Trump administration is facing increased scrutiny around the Epstein files release as Pam Bondi and Kash Patel released the video purportedly of Jeffrey Epstein the night that he passed away. But between 11:58.58 and midnight, there's about a 1-minute gap that the video does not have. It's just gone. And according to the New York Times, the Trump administration is acknowledging the lack of evidence here. But it begs the question, where is that 1 minute and what happened during that 1-minute clip?
You cannot trust medical advice from medical professionals. That doesn't mean that you don't have a great doctor that you should listen to, but
that's actually exactly what you said.
You need to take control of your own health care.
Okay, I'm gonna do this live, right here, no break. You shouldn't trust pilots on an airplane. You should take control of that airplane and fly the plane yourself and land it. Do you see how insane I sound? That's exactly what's being said in this clip. You should not let experts who spent decades studying and researching the thing you have a question about, and instead this person is saying you should go on Google and just figure it out off the internet. As Chris Tucker once said, "Come on. Come on. Come on, Lee. Come on."
Here is a ridiculous question that explains a lot about how economics works. And I'm asking this question, answering it, and more importantly, explaining it for all the Americans I met in my last trip through America who think getting paid more will raise prices. And the question is, how many Big Macs can a McDonald's worker buy with 1 hour of work? This is an important question because it shows the relationship between wages and price. But that relationship is not what you think it is. So in Denmark, McDonald's worker earns on average $21 an hour. They can buy 4.3 Big Macs with 1 hour of work. In the United States, most McDonald's workers earn between $12 and $15 an hour. That buys you 2 to 2.5 Big Macs per hour. So from this information alone, it looks like the more money you make, the more burgers you can buy. Oh, there's so much more here. So a Big Mac in Denmark costs $4.90. In America, it costs $5.79. And here comes the wonders of economics. Denmark pays their workers twice as much as America does, and the burger is cheaper than in the US. How is that possible? It is the myth that higher wages mean higher prices, and that is a myth. McDonald's is profitable in Denmark, very profitable. So the difference between Denmark's $21 an hour wage and $4.90 burger and America's $12 to $15 an hour wage and expensive $5.79 burger goes directly to corporate profits and CEO salaries. And that's really the lesson here. Danish CEOs are well paid and companies make handsome profits. Economic theory and actual practice in the real world make it clear you can have highly paid CEOs, reasonable priced products, and well-paid workers. Why doesn't this happen in the US? It's called greed. The prevailing cultural perspective in American business is to pay executives as much as possible and realize the highest possible profits at the expense of workers and customers.
Oh, way down. You cannot tax billionaires on the shares that they hold in a company because it is an unrealized gain, right? So they go like, yeah, you're worth 300 billion, but we can't tax you on those stocks because you haven't sold the shares, so you don't like have the money, right? But you're worth the money, but you don't have the money. And I understand the argument. They go like, no, you don't have it. It's just what it's worth, because it will also crash, and then you have nothing, so we can't tax you on it. Then I'm like, okay, I understand that. So you can't tax the people on a thing because they don't have it. It's just there. Okay, fine. Then Elon Musk offers to buy Twitter, right? He offers to buy it. And then he says, in his offer, he goes, I'm putting up my Tesla stock as collateral. Then I'm like, so you do have it? Then he's like, no, I don't have it. I'm just going to say as collateral. So then they accept the offer. He now buys Twitter. Now that they've accepted his offer, he now goes to private equity and banks and like other rich people and whatever. He goes like, can you guys borrow me the money to buy Twitter? And then he's like, I want to buy Twitter because I don't want to sell any of my Tesla shares. So I want to use your money to buy Twitter. And then it's like, but then they're like, what are we loaning it against? And he's like, well, my Tesla shares. Then I'm going like, wait. So you can buy a thing based on what you have. Yes. But when we want to tax you, you can say, I don't have it. Do you hear what I'm saying here? And now, like, just think of like the illogic of it. It's like it's such a fun game that like billionaires get to play because all their money is in that, right? Like if you earn your money as a salary, that your money just gets taxed. That's it.
The Trump business empire is growing in ways that are unprecedented in modern American history. Ventures launched since Trump's re-election last year have generated some $4 billion in paper wealth and proceeds as of December. Here's how they're set up. Each dot shown here is an entity in which Trump or his family members have interests. These range from small ventures to more prominent lines of business, represented here in different sizes. The first family long focused on real estate and licensing of the Trump brand. But the recent expansion has made the Trumps a major player in the crypto world, while the president is pushing to relax regulations in the industry. Their biggest crypto venture is called World Liberty Financial. Through a complex ownership structure, the Trumps own about 40% of the company, and they net 75% of proceeds when World Liberty sells tokens. That has generated about $1 billion in proceeds so far. The president also reported about $11 million in royalties in 2024 from merchandise ranging from sneakers to guitars to fragrances.
He participated regularly in paying money to force me to have sex with him, and he was present when my uncle murdered my newborn child and disposed of it in Lake Michigan. 13-year-old. Who are they talking about? He's on the right. The words "and" appear next to Donald Trump's name in files they tried to redact but didn't do properly and people got their hands on. Who knows what they were able to redact and hide from you? This exists in some sort of fucked up superposition of incomprehensibly fucking terrible and also entirely believable. You would think that this is big enough for MAGA conservatives, regular conservatives, to stand up and say, okay, that's enough. This is enough now. We should probably do something about this. And yet, fucking crickets, which is, again, completely believable and also incomprehensible. Where are you, other than making excuses for child predators, falling all over yourselves with the whataboutisms? Fucking, it's time. It's time for you to fucking say something.
Today we're talking healthcare, and I'm referring to the kind that makes a lot of folks fume. Universal healthcare. But instead of arguing for or against, let's dive into the lesser talked about outcomes if universal healthcare was suddenly policy. Let's start with one that many folks don't consider. Universal healthcare doesn't just help people when they're sick, it puts money directly into working class bank accounts. Right now, millions of workers never see their full paycheck because healthcare comes out before the money even hits their account. That's premiums, payroll deductions, and family plans that quietly cost hundreds of dollars a month. When healthcare is universal, that deduction disappears. Instead of your employer skimming money off of your paycheck to send to an insurance company, your wages are just wages. For most working class people, the taxes that replace premiums are lower than what they were already paying, which is why countries with universal health care don't see wages collapse. They see household finances stabilize. And that's not just theory. According to the Peterson KFF Health System Tracker, the U.S. already spends more per person on healthcare than any other country on earth, about $13,000 in 2023 and nearly $15,000 today. We already pay enough to cover everyone. We just pay in the most inefficient way possible. Now let's talk about job lock, because this is the quiet wage killer. Right now, people stay in bad jobs, underpaid jobs, and dangerous jobs because they can't afford to lose their health insurance. Universal healthcare breaks that chain. When insurance isn't tied to your employer, workers can quit, negotiate, unionize, or start a business without risking their family's health. That pressure alone pushes wages up because employers have to compete on pay instead of dangling benefits like a carrot. Then there's medical debt, which is where working class finances go to die. According to KFF, about 15% of U.S. households are carrying medical debt right now. Most of them had insurance when that debt happened. And according to Public Citizen, medical bills are involved in roughly 60% of personal bankruptcies.
Thank you, sir. You've named Governor Landry to be new special envoy to Greenland.
Yeah.
How do you? What do you see that role entailing? And is it still your intention that
Well,
Greenland
he called
become
me,
part
and
of the
you know,
U.S.?
he viewed Louisiana, the Louisiana Purchase. He said, "I'm governor of Louisiana," and he said, "I would love." I didn't call him; he called me. He's very proactive. He's a great guy. He's a deal guy. He's a deal maker type guy. And we need it for national protection. We need Greenland for national protection. They have a very small population. And I don't know, they say Denmark, but Denmark has spent no money. They have no military protection. If they say that Denmark was there 300 years ago or something with a boat, well, we were there with boats too, I'm sure. So we'll have to work it all out. But he felt very strongly, we need it for we need Greenland for national security. Not for minerals. We have so many sites for minerals and oil and everything. We have more.
The more you look, the more you find it's all around you all the time. Catches. The more you look, the more you find it's all around you all the time. Catches.
We now know who the man covering up the Epstein files is. It's quite often that the scum who carry out this type of vile corruption get ignored. This is Director of the Office of Information Policy, Sean Glendening. Sean Glendening is the man overseeing the entire collection and release of the Epstein documents. Sean Glendening is also taking part in and actively running the very obvious cover-up. His department at the DOJ was designed to do document releases just like this one. But the weird thing is, Sean Glendening only just got appointed to this job and has zero experience at it. In fact, he seems to have been hand-selected from his position as legal counsel to a MAGA congressman specifically because he would do just this. Sean Glendening purposefully created a broken website you can't access. Sean Glendening broke the law by redacting most of the pages without providing an explanation as to why. Sean Glendening willfully committed a felony by not releasing all the documents. Sean Glendening is a criminal and protector of both kinds of PDFs. Sean Glendening now deserves to be singled out by Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie, because this cover-up can only occur with Sean Glendening's blessing. So maybe go ahead and remind the congressman, or Sean Glendening himself, that he's done a big no-no, and that Sean Glendening deserves the consequences to his actions.
You're a Trump supporter, yes or no?
Yes, I am.
Can you say what you just said again?
I said, I don't care
if there's 100 14-year-old girls that come forward, not only implicate him, but is proven in a court of law. Let him be the president for all of us. Don't we want him to succeed?
Well, except for the 14-year-old girls who were trafficked. You're saying ignore their stories.
There are
because
bigger
it may
issues in the world.
Than telling the stories of children who were trafficked and giving them their justice?
Much bigger issues in the world.
I wish I could say I'm surprised, but I'm not. But here's the great thing about people like this. They have no self-awareness. They will be proud of their admissions. They will be openly homophobic, transphobic, fatphobic, misogynistic, racist, and now this shit. Thank you. Keep identifying yourself. Keep being the shit stains of society. We really appreciate it. Back in the day, you used to hide in shame and fear. For some reason, you think that you don't need shame anymore. That you can be proud of defending pedophiles. That you can be proud of using racial slurs. And then you have the balls to call yourself Christians, which is the best part. All of you live in your little fucking bubble. And the rest of the world knows exactly who you are. And you, along with the little fucking cult that you're with, you're gonna hold on to each other for dear life because you can't go back. That's why you don't give a fuck what happens with this administration, because if they go down, you go down. Your entire existence and identity. If you can't hate other people, you gotta go back to hating yourself. Then you go back to being worthless. And to all the conservatives out there, I'm gonna urge you to use some critical thinking here. If you're not who I'm talking about, then you shouldn't feel guilty. If you feel guilty, hey, fuck you. I said it once, I'll say it again. Good will prevail. It's only a matter of time. And I feel like since Andrew Tate and Jake Paul got their asses kicked, there's been a shift. And the best part, when this administration or people like you are under pressure, you're not more careful. You make more mistakes. You say more dumb shit. You double down more. And eventually, you'll just end up fucking yourselves up. We'll just sit here and watch. Go on, announce yourself in the comments. Call me a cuck. Call me a beta. With the shit that you're defending your papa president with, you guys are the biggest cucks in existence. You're just too dumb to see it.
We have some news right now. Donald Trump is caught in another lie, this time about Jeffrey Epstein, and well, here's how we found out. This is a Real Truth Social post from January of 2024. I want you to read this line with me. Also, I was never on Epstein's plane or at his stupid island. Okay. Now let's read this document released by the Department of Justice today. For your situational awareness, wanted to let you know that flight records we received reflect that Donald Trump traveled on Epstein's private jet many more times than what previously has been reported. 8 flights between 1993 and 1996, including 2 flights where 2 of the passengers were women with possible witnesses in a Maxwell case. He said he was never on the plane to get elected. That was a lie, and it's time to call him out on it. Another day. Spread the word because people need to know about this, and follow along, stay up to date on all the news you need to know about. I will have much.
Obama already served 2 terms. He can't run for a 3rd term in 2028. This is entirely unconstitutional.
The irony is so in our faces here, with this guy clearly wearing a Trump 2028 hat, that I genuinely thought this was satire. But then I explored some of this guy's other content, and no, he's a diehard MAGA guy. This is not satire. He's literally criticizing this gentleman for wearing an Obama 2028 shirt and saying that a 3rd term for Obama would be unconstitutional, while he's promoting the same concept for his own guy. He even has other reels in which he is both wearing this hat and promoting the concept of Trump running for a 3rd term. How unhinged do you have to be to...
Is Trump good or bad for the world? Well, it depends on who you are. China, Russia, the EU, or the US. And here's what's happening. Trump is great for China. China calls Trump, quote, the nation builder, unquote, because his actions are building up China. More nations are trading more with China. More nations are cooperating with China. China is the new world power because of Trump's policies to isolate the US. In fact, China had its first $1 trillion trade year because of Trump. Trump is good for Russia because he's trying to divide the EU, weaken Ukraine, and he's publicly praised Putin. But he's not outright building up Russia like he is for China. Trump is neutral for Europe. His actions to divide and weaken Europe on one hand are creating a unified Europe on the other. And nothing builds solidarity and unity like an ally abandoning you on the brink of war. Trump is forcing the EU to be great. And Trump is as bad as it gets for America. He's destroyed the economy, its democracy, its unity, its power. And that's not opinion, it's just what's happening. Once the land of freedom, people are now disappeared in unmarked cars by unidentifiable masked federal agents. Just a year ago, its economy was, quote, the envy of the world, unquote, and now it's moving towards recession.
More on the Epstein files. I'm honestly pretty upset, to be frank. So a couple of things. The DOJ is now saying that the Nassar letter, which I think I talked about in my video yesterday, is, quote, fake. Well, I guess the question is, if the FBI went through all of these, redacted them all the way back in March, they had to go through all of them, why was that not flagged? I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I actually don't believe that. And I think it's enraging, to be honest with you, that the one document, which is definitely questionable, about the president, is now being deemed as fake. They're saying, the writing doesn't match, where it was post-dated from doesn't match. I really don't buy any of that. Again, I am someone who absolutely hates conspiracy theories, but I find that remarkable and really disgusting that now we're sort of perverting evidence that was supposedly gone through, and that's why it took so long to release all of these documents. The next thing I wanted to talk about is the two tips that came in 1996 by an Epstein victim who she has been forthcoming with her name. Her name is Maria Farmer, and she contacted local police about what she thought was child trafficking, perhaps pornography of underage girls going on with Epstein. The local police said, please, notify the FBI about this. She actually did that on 2 separate occasions in 1996. The FBI did not open up a case until 2006 on Epstein. That is disgusting and horrific. And I'm going to be honest, I'm a former FBI agent. Not at all surprising. For those of you that have read my book, I have absolutely discussed it. The FBI, I feel, doesn't always take tips seriously. They really don't. It's like into a dark hole. Or what I see are people that come in, whomever the agent is that's on duty, taking those tips, sometimes makes fun of the person coming in. I'm just going to put it all out there. I think we need to be transparent about some of the things that go on. I am not saying that all agents behave this way. They don't. There are some really excellent ones. But
America is collapsing exactly like the Ottoman Empire. And if you know history, what comes next isn't a mystery. It's a guarantee. And here's the blueprint the U.S. is following step by step. The Ottomans ruled for 600 years. And they made 4 fatal mistakes. And the U.S. is making all 4 right now. Firstly, they refused to modernize. Europe industrialized, built factories, railways, and modern weapons. The Ottomans kept their old systems. They fell behind, and the empire died. In the US, now, China dominates AI, 5G, EVs, green energy. In the US, Trump and the Republicans are trying to bring back coal. They are the Ottoman sultans watching the Industrial Revolution pass by. Secondly, corruption destroys competence. The Ottomans gave government jobs to whoever paid the most. Skill didn't matter. The empire rotted from within. And this is exactly what Trump is doing today. Unqualified politicians, loyalists running federal agencies. This is how empires die. Thirdly, borrowing money they can't repay. The Ottomans borrowed so much money from Europe that foreign governments took control of their national budget. They lost sovereignty to creditors. The U.S. national debt grows by trillions every year. Creditors are already hedging against the U.S. This is the beginning of the end. And fourthly, the empire split apart. Ottoman provinces stopped obeying the capital. They pursued their own interest, and the empire splintered into pieces. In America, states are running their own immigration, healthcare, voting laws, because the Trump Republican regime is a failed government.
It's Christmas Eve and the Trump-Epstein cover-up continues to get worse. Remember how yesterday the DOJ put out this message on X saying that Epstein's letter implicating Trump was fake? And then this morning the DOJ posted that a journalist was a, quote, dope? Well, guess who's making those tweets? Yeah, this guy right here. Axios is reporting that the Trump White House has taken control of the DOJ Twitter account. This is what happened.
Sure, if I could.
Could I just interrupt for 1 second? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep?
During a White House cabinet meeting, a reporter asked Attorney General Pam Bondi about what has unofficially been referred to as the missing minute in the released 11-hour video of footage outside Jeffrey Epstein's cell. The timestamp on the footage skips 1 minute from 11:59 p.m. directly to 12 a.m.
The minute missing from the video, we released the video showing definitively the video was not conclusive, but the evidence prior to it was showing he committed suicide. And what was on that, there was a minute that was off the counter. And what we learned from Bureau of Prisons was every night, they redo that video. It's old, from like 1999. So every night the video is reset, and every night should have the same minute missing. So we're looking for that video to release that as well, showing that a minute is missing every night. And that's it on Epstein.
What if I told you the federal government is quietly rerouting hundreds of billions of dollars through the U.S. economy?
I don't know what to make of the fact that it was an executive order.
It's happening right now under the Trump administration. They're already changing the future of retirement savings, how mortgages are financed, what energy projects get built, how banks operate, and even what backs digital dollars. Let me explain, starting with crypto. The Genius Act is a new law that forces stablecoin issuers to hold fully backed reserves, mostly cash and short-term government debt. That effectively converts the crypto industry into a major buyer of treasury bills, redirecting tens of billions of dollars toward Washington's borrowing needs. Next is energy. The administration is speeding up fossil fuel permits and phasing out key clean energy tax credits earlier than expected. That's cooling investment in offshore wind and EVs, while reviving drilling projects in midstream pipelines, shifting big money out of green power and back toward oil and gas. Your 401k could be changing too. A new executive order makes it easier for retirement plans to offer private equity and private credit options for workers. Even small adoption rates could push billions into alternative asset managers. Then,
we have some news right now. The Justice Department now says it has, quote, uncovered more than 1 million new Epstein files. I'm not kidding. This is serious. The Justice Department put out on its Twitter that it's uncovered 1 million plus new files that it's received from the Southern District of New York, the office that prosecuted Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein, and that now it's going to take several more weeks to review all of these files and release them publicly in compliance.
You there, second desk, blue jacket. What is your name?
My name is Alexis.
Alexis, please leave my lecture room. I don't want to see you at one of my lectures ever again.
I don't understand.
I am not going to ask a second time. Thank you. Why are there laws? What are laws for? Anyone?
Social order.
To protect the person's personal rights.
So that you can rely on the government?
Justice? Thank you. Tell me, was I unfair to your classmate just now? Indeed I was. So, why didn't any of you protest? Why didn't any of you try and stop me? Why didn't you want to prevent this injustice? You see, what you have just learnt, you wouldn't have understood in 1,000 hours of lectures unless you lived it. You didn't say anything because you weren't affected yourself. And this attitude speaks against you and against life. You think it doesn't concern you, so it's none of your business. Well, I'm here to say, if you don't help bring about justice, then one day you too may experience injustice, and there will be nobody there to stand before you.